The thought twisted Irma Rose's stomach in familiar knots. It had been hard enough when her daughter chose to leave the old order Amish community at the age of 18, but even more difficult when she wrote to tell them she was in a family way soon thereafter, with no husband. "She was a glorious child," Jonas said. "Remember how quickly she learned to ice skate? What a joy she was! What a goot Christmas holiday we all had!" Irma Rose shook her head at her husband's ignorance of the obvious. Lily wasn't a child anymore. She was a grown woman. Jonas had talked about that last Christmas together until the next season came and went. When Sarah Jane and Lily didn't show up the following year, he merely shrugged and said, "Maybe they will visit next year." And each Christmas thereafter, Jonas anticipated a visit that never happened. Jonas never uttered a negative word about Sarah Jane's choices, but she'd seen the sadness in his eyes when their daughter left home, and she knew the pain dwelled in his heart over the years. But he only said it was impossible to always understand God's direction for his children, their child, their only child. The good Lord had only seen fit to bless them with one, a beautiful daughter who had chosen a life rife with hardship. Irma Rose had prayed hard over the years to cleanse herself of any discontentment with her daughter. Sarah Jane's choice to leave the Amish faith was prior to her baptism and church membership. Therefore, her daughter was never shunned by the community. She had chosen to avoid visits with her parents. From the little Irma Rose gathered over the years, Sarah Jane and Lily had lived with friends and moved around a lot. An occasional letter arrived from her daughter, to which Irma Rose always responded right away. More times than not, the letters were returned unopened. It was less painful to assume Sarah Jane had moved on, and the letters were returned by the postal service. Although sometimes it cut Irma Rose to the bone when she recognized her daughter's penmanship, return to sender. She was thankful her last letter to Sarah Jane had not been returned. She couldn't help but wonder if the news about Jonas' cancer had prompted her granddaughter's visit. When Lillian's letter arrived over a month ago, Irma Rose had followed her instructions not to return a letter, but to call her on the telephone if at all possible. She wasted no time going to the nearby shanty to phone her granddaughter. The conversation was strained, and the child seemed frantic to come for a visit. "I'm a teacher, and when school is out in May, I'd like to come for a visit," her granddaughter had said on the phone. "Maybe stay for the summer, or maybe even longer." There was a sense of urgency in the girl's tone. Irma Rose feared her faith had not been as strong as her husband's, and that a tinge of resentment and hurt still loitered in her heart where Sarah Jane was concerned. She didn't want any of those feelings to spill over with her granddaughter. She would need to pray harder. As if reading her mind, Jonas said, "Irma Rose, everything will be fine. You just wait and see." It wasn't until the plane was high above the Houston skyline that the realization of what she'd done hit Lillian. After landing in Philadelphia, she caught a train to Lancaster City and hopped a bus to Paradise, which landed her only a few miles from her grandparents' farm. She was glad there was a bit of a walk to their property. She wanted to wind down and freshen up before she reacquainted herself with her relatives. Plus, she'd had enough time on the plane to wonder if this whole thing was a huge mistake. Her mom hadn't wanted to be here, so why think it would be any better for her? Not that she had much choice at this point. She had no money, no home, no job, and she was more than a little irritated with her mother. When her mom had begged Lillian to loan her the money she'd painstakingly saved to get away from Ricky and start fresh, Lillian reluctantly agreed, with the stipulation she got her money back as soon as possible. But her mom had never repaid